Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. Hello, nurse coaches. Welcome back to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. Is me, Shelby, here today with all of you. And today we're going to have a real talk about coaching as an industry. And I'm going to be pretty blunt. And I know that I've used this metaphor before, but just how feral the coaching industry can be sometimes. It's like the Wild West. It's wide open. It's full of possibilities and team. It can also be full of landmines. And I want to talk about it. This is something that's been swirling on my brain for years, and I want to share with you my intentions on how nurse coaching can be a part of the standardization process for coaching. And yeah, I want to vent to you today. I want to vent. I want to maybe even sort of complain, but also not complain without a cause and have a path forward that we can all get behind. And if you're feeling this too, you're not wrong here. And I'm gonna loop you in on what I'm thinking. But if you have ever felt skeptical of coaching because you or someone you know got burned really bad, wasted thousands of dollars, I want you to stay with me. We're going to talk about why this happened, what's changing, and again, why I think nurse coaches are positioned so well to bring a level of professionalism and standards into this industry that it so desperately needs. One, to be ethical practitioners, and to just bring a level of care, a standardization of care to the humans that we serve, to the humans that we walk through their transformation process with. This is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And by the end of the episode, you'll not only understand why coaching feels so untamed right now, but you'll also see why nurses are the exact people to bring order, credibility, and healing into this space. And there might be some hot takes in here, so stay tuned. We'll trust the process. Okay, so I have been a coach since 2018, but I was so new 2018, 2019 that I don't really feel qualified to give a fair assessment as to what was going on in the greater landscape of the coaching industry at that time. I had a coach that talked pretty openly about it. She influenced me so much here in the beginning of when she was like, do not build a website. You do not need a funnel. Do not worry about an email list. You just need to be coaching people. And I had a lot of success because of that. And Laura, in hiring her own coach, had a similar experience where the primary focus was on coaching. And we were trusting that other phases of your business would unfold with time and would unfold with more experience. But I think back to that time in the first 12 months, of our private practices, Laura and I were not partnered during this time, but we had a million ideas in those first 12 months that never went anywhere. But when you were in the process of creating, when you were in the process of finding your sea legs as a nurse coach, it's just really easy to get distracted with shiny carrots and go build the website and worry about a funnel. And do I need Facebook ads? And all of the BS that comes with it. And I think before 2020, there was I don't know the word, but businesses were preying on new coaches, convincing them that they needed these $60,000 systems for ads that didn't work. And so I remember talking to a nurse practitioner that worked in the ER that spent $75,000 on an email funnel system that led him 4 clients that were not qualified. They could not afford his services. And he was sold a dream and then just given a scam, and how heartbreaking that is. I know that in the nurse coach bubble, this might not seem reasonable or feasible, but I promise you, I remember this man. He had long Jesus hair and he was smart. He was one of us. He was a smart practitioner that got taken advantage of. And so that was kind of what I was hearing during 2018, 2019. And then 2020, when my own business started to take off, I feel like the landscape changed so much due to COVID. And I mean, the world shut down. Suddenly, coaching was exploding because we were all at home, forced to face our feelings, forced to face our marriages, forced to face our kids. There was no escaping, right? The world shut down, our worlds got really small, and the emotional pain skyrocketed very, very quickly. On top of that, we had stimulus money. People were working from home. People were seeking meaning. We were all scared. We were scared, that's a spectrum, but we were all falling along that lines. No one knew what was going to happen next. And it seemed like everyone with a Zoom and a Canva account kind of overnight became a coach. And at least that's the way it felt on my feed. And I know you guys feel similar of whenever you announce to the world that you're a coach, all the coaches on the internet find you and friend request you. This is just a thing that happens when you're new. But the appeal of freedom, the big promises that were floating around on the internet during this time, like 6-figure months, instant healing, find your purpose over a weekend during a workshop. Because the pain was so high, then I think the marketing tried to match it of the pain points, and then what people were selling was quick fixes, overnight successes. And I really do think that if you got in early enough on it, that you probably did. You probably had overnight success. But during this time, there was no sheriff, there's no town hall, there's no rule book, there's just wide open land, pioneers, and unfortunately a few con artists along the way. And for some people, this worked. Laura and I, our business definitely benefited in 2020 because Laura and I were strictly only coaching nurse coaches that wanted private practice during this time. And then in 2020, when a lot of our community was being threatened to lose their jobs, this seemed like a practical step. And so I think a lot of nurse coaches tried really hard to start their private practice during this time. And we were one of the only options to catch you guys and to help you. And that isn't so much the case anymore. But I mean, I'm definitely one of the ones that benefited during 2020. I don't want to ignore that fact at all. And Laura and I during 2020 and 2021 trying to ride the influx of nurse coaches who were so hungry for help and so hungry for guidance. We were drinking from a fire hydrant, trying to not only meet the demands of our business but also do a good job. We had countless meetings of how do we do this better? These are the people that are coming to us. We were constantly in brainstorming mode, just trying to evolve as quickly as our industry was. And I know that a lot of coaches don't do that. It's something that we took a lot of responsibility for, and by no means did we hit the perfection mark, but we gave 100%. We tried really hard. And I would hear stories during this time about how coaches would hire shiny carrot solutions and then just get burned and waste 5 to 10 grand. And it was painful. It was painful, especially when they got outside of the nurse coaching bubble and were kind of purchasing just without the skills to be an educated buyer. It's very easy to get taken advantage of. And here's just so that I can do my due diligence here. I want to describe some common ways that people can get burned just so that you know what to be on the lookout for. I know that we offer a lot of programs within our umbrella, but we aren't for everyone, and I can appreciate that. But I do want you to be an educated buyer when you get out into the marketplace so this doesn't happen to you. So first red flag, if people are overpromising results, being I can get you 6 figures in 6 weeks, they're lying. They can't do that. It's not possible. I know that with 100% every fiber in my being. Even if someone could get you 6 figures in 6 weeks, your nervous system does not have the capacity to hold that kind of income that quickly. There is a titration process that happens. And even if I generated, if I had a Facebook ad that could generate leads for nurse coaches, and then you guys just got the benefit of being able to coach, if I put 6 figures worth of clients in your lap during 6 weeks, you would feel like you were drowning. And that is not because you aren't capable in the long run. It's just the 6-week guarantee is too fast of a titration for your nervous system to be able to handle it. Does this mean that in a year that would be the same story? Probably not. Your nervous system capacity grows alongside you as the longer you're in business. But as a new coach, if someone would have put 6 figures worth of clients in my lap in the first 6 weeks, I would have dropped the bag so hard, so hard. So just beware. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. If they have no ethical guidelines or scopes, no ethical guideline or a scope of practice, like coaches can, especially our community of nurse coaches is so worried about like overstepping the boundaries into therapy, but people with no training, with no background are probably less concerned because they don't know the line exists. So just if there is no ethical compass here, that's where it can get sticky. If there are pushy sales tactics, like make a decision now or within the next 12 hours, or I can hold this spot for you, but only for the next 6 hours, like y'all, not true. It's just not true. I do believe that there is an ethical way to help someone arrive at a decision, whether the decision is yes or no, and get somebody out of limbo. That is a ethical sales technique. However, it's not ethical to incentivize you making a decision and the only decision is yes. When I'm on sales calls with people, I tell them like, hey, our goal here is clarity. If you want to become a nurse coach, awesome. If you want to start your private practice, awesome. I would love to help you do that. But also I believe in the power of no. So whatever answer comes at the end of this conversation, I'm going to be okay and you're going to be okay. But clarity is queen. Clarity is queen. And that's what we are after. So if you feel the sense of urgency or you feel pressure and there's no dialogue around it, there's no like empowering you to make a decision, there's just pressure, red flag. That's a red flag. And then if there's no follow through once money is collected, like if there's no onboarding process, if there's no email, if your coach ghosts you, like also a red flag. Hopefully you don't get that far in the process, but just that's also a way to get burned. I remember a few years ago talking to a nurse who had invested thousands with a coach, and after 1 month, the program just like disappeared. There was her coach that she had hired, like lived abroad and was on the Nile River. Like it was just the most insane thing I had ever heard. She had invested like 5 or 6 grand to this program. She was like taking a call from a boat in the Nile River. And if you think that that story is made up, I wish that it was. The truth is, like, that nurse didn't do anything wrong. She trusted. And this is like what happens when the industry doesn't have any standards or we're not all held to a similar bar for ethical reasons, is that people can be very compelling. People can be excellent at sales, but then when there is no delivery or no accountability, you end up having a coach that's on the Nile River trying to like scratch a Wi-Fi connection. Like it's just inexcusable, in my opinion. Okay, I know that I'm being a Debbie Downer here. This is like 5 years worth of tough pills that we have swallowed as a community coming out right now. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to me. But here's the antidote. Here's the silver lining. Here's the growth mindset that I want to lean into. I believe that nurse coaches are so uniquely positioned to change this, to help bring a level of professionalism to the marketplace, to help bring a level of standardization of care, to help bring a level of ethics to the industry. And I want to talk more about that because we could just rain on our own parade all live long day, or we can be a part of the solution. Okay, so nurses have professional standards built in to the core of who we are. We have been trained and indoctrinated in the best way to have a high standard of care, to have a high standard of ethics. We also have a scope of practice that is very clearly outlined. We have confidentiality agreements. Like all of this lingo is second language to us because we have been protecting patients since the day we graduated nursing school, if not well before then. We don't make this stuff up. We are trained to protect humans. It is in our DNA. It is who we are. And I think that that's a leg up that we have as coaches out here in the Wild West. Nurses or nurse coaches in particular, I should say, are holistic in our coaching. We take in the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the relational. We take in the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and the relational aspects of a person. And, it's coaching and this holistic modality, they come together so well. They align perfectly with how nurses are already trained to see an entire human. I want to highlight this extra because I feel like we don't take this into consideration enough on why when people sit with nurse coaches, it feels different. People who say, I have been to 10 years of therapy or I have been to every doctor and no one has listened to me the way that you have. It's because we are trained differently. We are trained differently. And this isn't to bash therapy. I literally was in therapy yesterday. But we are trained to slow down. We are trained to take time. We are trained to be available. We are trained to validate and advocate. And we are also trained to challenge, to push, to help our clients see new perspectives and empower. This is different than most conversations that are happening with other coaches who took a weekend certification or aren't certified. That's my 2 cents there, team. We bring a lot to the table as nurses. And finally, something else that is baked into our nursing license, we have a high ranking in credibility and trust. We are the number one most trusted profession in the entire United States for like decades, except for one firefighters won that year, and because of 9/11, rightfully so. We will pass the trophy to you, but nurses every other year have been the number one most highly trusted profession, and it's with good reason. Like, people, whenever they work with a nurse coach, they're not just buying coaching, they're stepping into a container with someone who has real credentials, a board certification, and years for caring for people in their most vulnerable moments under their belt. I had a client of mine like a couple of years ago, and she was younger than me. And I mean, I'm 34. I feel more qualified than ever to be a life coach, but I was 27 when I started life coaching, which is like a little giggle, a little giggle. I had not lived through a lot of hardships at that time yet. And I had a client who was reflecting something similar to me. She was like, I just feel so young. I don't really feel qualified. Like, these people are dealing with real things, like parents that are sick and their mothers, and like, I just feel underqualified to be supporting them. And this nurse was an ICU nurse for 5 years. And what I reflected back to her, and I was like, hey, how many hands of the dying have you held? And she's like, I can't even tell you. She worked in the ICU during COVID. She's like, I can't even tell you how many. I was like, do you realize how abnormal that is for someone who's 27 years old to have sat at the side of countless humans taking their last breath? Like, that presence, that ability to be with pain, discomfort, loss, and grief, it is felt in your coaching sessions. That is not something that any nurse or any coaching certification could ever train you for. That is the batteries that come included with nurse coaches. We have so many reps, so many hours, so many years, sometimes decades, sometimes 50 years of being with people in this vulnerable way. And this is what we call coaching presence. It just feels different when you sit with a nurse coach. And I just really want to reflect that back to everybody listening. Like, okay, you are new to this coaching skill piece, but that presence is built in to you. It's something that you already have. All right. So let's talk about raising the bar of coaching here really quick. I want to begin to set the standard of professionalism and what this looks like. We want to have, as if you are in private practice, of course, we want to have contracts and clear agreements. We want to have informed consent and confidentiality. We want to be super clear on our scope and what we can do and what we can't do. And we want to be tracking outcomes and progress. I think this is something that might not be on new nurse coach radars, but you want to be asking for feedback. You want to do a pre and post assessment. When you are brand spanking new, like your first 3 or 4 clients, we don't have to hyperfixate here. I know you're already drinking from the fire hydrant, but over time, we want to track your metrics. We want to get feedback. We want to improve. We want to see what your clients are needing and what you're delivering on, and do they match? We want to review your sales calls, or no, I'm sorry. Well, review your sales calls and your coaching calls, right? With the use of AI, there's so many feedback tools that we can leverage these days. It's almost inexcusable to not do it. But we want to review to see, like, oh, am I talking about myself? Am I giving advice? Am I popping the bubble when it comes to their pain or their tension? Like, we want to know those things so that you can actually feel good about the skill and the transformation that you're helping people through. And I kind of equate, this is a really dramatic example, but it's similar to, like, you wouldn't want a surgeon who's watching a YouTube video right before your surgery to refresh his memory, right? You don't want a coach who just has read a self-help book one time and has deemed themselves qualified. Standards don't kill creativity, they protect creativity. All right, so future of nurse coaching here, team. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes if you're not driving. And I want you to imagine a coaching industry where clients don't hesitate to hire you because they know that it's safe. They know that it's protected. Imagine employers paying for coaching, insurance, even reimbursing well. I'm manifesting reimbursing well. That's my biggest hesitation with insurance getting involved with us, but healthcare systems integrating it because nurses built the credibility to make it mainstream. All of us right now, if you're listening to this podcast, we are sharing the load. We are carrying the load of making nurse coaching mainstream. This is not something that Laura and I can do on our own. This is something that every single one of you that has been through certification is doing. We are doing it together. And we have a lot of road ahead of us, but I know that if we each keep putting one foot in front of the other, we keep having conversations, we keep advocating, we keep our standard of care high, that it will happen. It's inevitable. The progress that I've seen in the past 5 years is phenomenal. That's a different podcast episode. It's incredible. Give us 10 more years, give us 15 more years, and who knows? Who knows where we get? It's compounding over time. Nurse coaches are already in partnerships with hospitals. They are in businesses. They, of course, have private practices. We are expanding beyond health coaching into leadership coaching, resilience coaching, family systems, all of it. It's phenomenal. And back to my Wild West metaphors, nurse coaches are the town builders here. If this industry started in the Wild West, nurse coaches are building the schools, we're building the courthouses, we're building the hospitals, we're making coaching a place where people can actually thrive. And, God, my husband's going to listen to this and just be so excited that I'm quoting Yoda here. But what is that quote? Now I'm on with great. There it is. With great power comes great responsibility. I almost got it, babe. Sorry about that. I overthought it at the end. But coaches, we have a responsibility to healthcare, to one another, to our clients, to hold the bar high here and to do an excellent job. And I know that we are capable of it because we do it all the time. Okay, so I know that people in the past have been burned by coaching, and I know that people are going to continue to be burned, and that is a fixed cost of growth and evolution. And my goal of this podcast was to educate you on a few of the red flags, but at the end of the day, trust your gut. If something feels off, don't be bullied into buying something that you do not want to purchase. And nurse coaching is bringing the standards, the ethics, and professionalism so desperately needed to this industry. And I'm really excited to be locking arms with all of you who are listening to this. You didn't know you're getting a homework assignment. You didn't know you're getting a homework. Oh my God. You did not know you were getting a homework assignment by listening to this podcast episode, but here it is. Pick up and lock arms, and we're going to keep trudging forward. So if you have had an experience where you've been burned, where you know someone who's been burned, I would love to know. Loop me in. You don't have to tell me like who you hired or whatever. That's less important. But I think the more that we talk about these sorts of things, the less chance it has of repeating itself. And you can talk in the Facebook group. You can shoot me a message. And what would it mean to you to see nurses leading here, to lead the charge in standardization of care? I would love to know. I think this discussion is really worth having. And I appreciate you hanging in there with me today on this wonderful Monday morning. And we'll see you same time, same place next week.